iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Hey there, everybody, it's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards, get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. All right, here's what we're going to do. We'll give you some news and notes from the NFL. We'll talk about certain things, certain issues that are coming up. For example, who's going to play? Is Austin Eckler going to play? Is Melvin Gordon going to play? Or is our boy Justin Jackson going to play? I say that Gordon and Eckler probably sit and Jackson plays. You'll know if they bring up somebody from the reserve squad. You'll know that immediately. Okay? Let's see. So another big piece of news, the Vikings fired John DeFilippo. He wasn't getting along with Mike Zimmer, and they're replacing him with Kevin Stefanski, who was already with the team. He's been with the team forever, but Mike Zimmer decided to bring in DeFilippo. Obviously, they didn't get along well. It was a problem. But let me just say this: I think Doug Peterson has been exposed for being a crappy play caller. DeFilippo was successful with the Eagles, and Frank Reich was very successful. I think if anybody comes out smelling like a rose this year, it's Frank Reich, because you see that he is ingenious. And Matt Nagy comes out smelling like a rose too, right? He comes out looking really good as well. Two guys who were coaches elsewhere last year who've produced very good offenses. So, I'm not blaming DeFilippo. I might blame Mike Zimmer. I might blame the team. I don't think it's his fault. He was with the Eagles last year. Or maybe Frank Reich is a genius. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of both. But I think that it's, just watch. Why are the Eagles not producing this year? They don't have the right play calling. Simple as that. They don't have the right play calling. The Vikings don't have the right play calling. Kirk Cousins is not a very good quarterback. Last night, by the way, Booger McFarland and Jason Witten may be the two worst announcers in the history of professional football. I mean, these guys are just jokers. Oh, Kirk Cousins, not worth $84 million, blah, blah, blah. Come on, dude. Nobody's worth $84 million. Nobody's worth $84 million. Kirk Cousins is not a bad quarterback. He's fine. He's average. He's not above average. He's exactly average. But people expect more because you're paying him more. Well, just because you pay more doesn't mean you get more. You would like to think that's the case, but that's not always the case. Certainly not with Kirk Cousins. I mean, the Vikings got a quarterback in the prime of his career for an expensive price. Well, what are you going to do? That's what quarterbacks go for. If you don't do that, you got to go draft Josh Rosen or Josh Allen or Sam Darnold and wait 5 years. That's your plan. So there you have it. So let's take a look at some of these games here. First of all, if you didn't start Derrick Henry like I didn't in one league, look, I'm sorry. Did I blow it? I don't think so. Derrick Henry's been a piece of crap all year long. Going into this year, I love Derrick Henry as a third-round pick. And then they picked up Dion Lewis. And then I was like, I don't like him so much anymore. And then Derrick Henry didn't do anything. And now all of a sudden Derrick Henry's running for 238 yards and 4 touchdowns. Who are you kidding? Who could have seen that? Nobody could have seen that. So will he do it again against the Giants? I doubt it, but he's capable of it. He's capable of another 200-yard game. The guy's a beast. If they open up a hole for him. All right, speaking of the Giants, Saquon Barkley, yeah, I'm drafting next year. I might be taking him one. I might. It's between McCaffrey, Barkley, and Gurley. And I'll tell you this. How about this? I'd want the number 3 pick overall next year. You give me Barkley, you give me McCaffrey, you give me Gurley. Whoever you don't want, I'll take, and I'll be just fine. And I'll get the earlier second-round pick. Those guys are stars. Now, I do have a slight fear. with the Giants. My fear is, are they going to take out Eli Manning at some point? Now, I know Eli Manning came out last week, basically because the game was out of control. But if they take out Eli Manning, how does that affect Saquon Barkley and Beckham? It could affect it a lot. So I'm I'm worried about that. We need Eli playing. If you are a Barkley owner, you need Eli on the field. Okay, the Jets versus the Bills. Look, I want to like the Buffalo Bills. I do. But man, you're at a home game against the crappy Jets, and you let up 14 points in the fourth quarter? Come on, that's unforgivable. Find me a balanced offense. I mean, Josh Allen should not be your leading rusher. That's not the way the NFL works. Josh Allen is not a great runner of the football. He's a good enough runner of the football, but that's not how you're going to win games. I just don't like it at all. I really don't. I don't like it at all. Speaking of not liking it, how many times can I tell you how bad Cam Newton is? Please, I just wish somebody would listen to me. Cam Newton is terrible. He is terrible. Go watch that last sequence when they were on the 3-yard line to go and show you how bad he is. First of all, he rockets one pass. The guy has no chance of catching it. Another pass has no touch. I mean, do you know why they had Kelvin Benjamin and Devin Funchess and Greg Olsen? Because Cam throws the ball 8 feet in the air. He does. He throws the ball 8 feet in the air. Those guys were already 6'5", 6'6", so they jumped a foot in the air, caught the ball, and all of a sudden it was a touchdown, and Cam Newton looks good. Well, you can't do that with Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore. You actually have to throw the football. Cam doesn't do that. He's terrible. He's terrible. Baker Mayfield winning games. And you know what? Just ask yourself this question early on in the season. Could the Browns have a winning record? I really think they could have. They were close. They were close. You know, is it Freddie Kitchens? Maybe it is getting rid of Todd Haley. I've always hated Todd Haley. You know that. If you ever listen to me, you know how much I hate Todd Haley. But Freddie Kitchens? I like the Bruce Arians coaching tree. You come from the Bruce Arians coaching tree, you're doing something right. Speaking of doing something right, I don't think the Falcons are doing much right. I mean, that team looks done. They are just blowing it right now. They had a moment there where the offense looked good, and now they just don't look good anymore. Thankfully, Aaron Jones played a little bit in that game. He got way more snaps than did Jamal Williams. I still don't trust the Packers, and I don't think the Packers' defense is that good. I just think the Falcons are not a very good team. I was absolutely impressed by Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. First of all, the Ravens deserved to win that game. They played a very good football game. They did. Secondly, Mahomes is out of his mind. I mean, if I'm drafting next year, he's a first-round draft pick. I kid you not. If you don't think he's a first-round draft pick, you need to have your head examined. And I'm telling you, please, for the love of God, if you hear any expert on a radio, on Twitter, whatever, and say, you can wait for the 13th round for your quarterback because they're all the same, that guy's an idiot. Patrick Mahomes is special. Special. If you don't think he's special, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what else to tell you. In case you don't know these numbers, okay? As of right now, as of this moment, he has 4,300 yards and 43 touchdowns. Oh, and by the way, he has 235 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Are you kidding me? He's on pace for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns and 300 yards rushing. I mean, what more can the dude do? If you don't think he's a first-round pick, it's on you, my friends. Oh, man, he's good. By the way, I have so much love for Tyreek Hill. That guy could barely walk, and he still gets 8 receptions for 139 yards. I mean, when he was 1 for 6 and they took him out of the game, I'm like, oh, my God, it's over. And he came back. God bless Tyreek Hill. You know, a lot of people are busting on the Patriots for having Rob Gronkowski back there at the end of the game. And I think that's probably a fair comment. I think it's probably a fair comment. You have the ball on the 30-yard line. Are they really going to throw the Hail Mary at that point? So you probably needed a guy with more speed and less height. So still, the Patriots should have made a tackle. You got to make a tackle. By the way, Kenny Stills finally gets the football. He's been clamoring for it all year. Good for him. Good for him. By the way, the Buccaneers were winning that game. The Buccaneers are up 14-3 at halftime. You have to win that game. You are up 14-3. You have to win that game. I blame Dirk Cutter. I do. You have to run the football. You have to have better play calling. You got to figure out a way to win that game. You can't let up 25 unanswered points. Shame on you. Shame on you, Tampa. Great job by Adam Ronis there calling Andrew Luck's big game. He called it. And you know what? We talk about recency bias all the time. The recency bias is this. When a guy sucks one week, that doesn't mean he sucks the next week. Andrew Luck sucked 2 weeks ago. Last week, he puts up close to 400 yards. I mean, come on. He was the best player of the week. So you had to use him. I would like to apologize for Justin Jackson. I thought it was going to be his week. They should have benched Eckler. They didn't need Eckler. I mean, Eckler played very well, but they could have won this game without Eckler. Now, on Thursday, they don't have Eckler and they don't have Melvin Gordon, and you have to play Justin Jackson. I would have rather played Justin Jackson against the Bengals than the Chiefs. Hello? Come on. That was just bad. Seriously, that's bad. I know the Chargers are good, and I need the Chargers to continue to play good because I have a lot of Mahomes everywhere, and I want the Chargers to keep it close. Keep it close, but don't win. All right, the 49ers beat the Broncos 20-14. You know, look, I've got to think that Vance Joseph may be the worst coach ever. Seriously, there's so many bad coaches in the NFL. So many bad coaches. Case Keenum doesn't throw the ball downfield. There was a play, it was 3rd and 2. Phillip Lindsay wasn't on the field. Cortland Sutton wasn't on the field. They're handing the ball to Royce Freeman. Royce Freeman stinks. Royce Freeman hasn't had a good play all year, and you don't have Lindsay and Sutton on the field in 3rd and 2? Who's calling these plays? What kind of idiot does that? Come on. Sometimes I really think that fantasy experts would do a whole lot better job than some of these guys out there every Sunday. I know never to give the ball to Royce Freeman. I know this. And certainly not on 3rd and 2 in a key part of the game. All right, we did talk about this earlier this season. We talked about Dak Prescott having a great playoff schedule. Now, did I think he was going to throw for 455 yards and 3 touchdowns? No, of course not. But he probably won somebody $1 million last week. Prescott and Zeke and Cooper probably won somebody $1 million last week. Unreal. Congratulations to you for using them. The Steelers shouldn't have lost that game. They just should not have lost that game. You're playing the Raiders. The Raiders are not very good, and you can't get it done. I know the field there sucks. I know the black hole stinks. I get it. That said, you're the Steelers. You shouldn't even be in a position to have that game be tied. You should be winning that game. That's what I feel about that. I really do. I want to have empathy, but I don't have as much empathy as you'd think. Lions bash the Cardinals. Bash the Cardinals. And I'll say this. Lions are starting to play better football. Recently, the Lions are playing better football. I don't think they're a great team, but the Cardinals are a really bad team. They're a really bad team. Josh Rosen is not very good. I don't care what anybody says. And although I like the Bruce Arians coaching tree, I don't know whether to blame Byron Leftwich or not. It just may be the players. The players stink. Speaking of stinking, Jared Goff stunk. 180 yards and 4 interceptions this week. So I'm just going to say this. Jared Goff is a California kid. You go to Chicago on Sunday night in December, you know you're playing in 10-degree weather. You just are. It's not his game. So let me just say this. And I put it in my article and I'll say it again. I try to get smarter every year in fantasy football. I do. I try to get smarter. I will look and see which teams are playing in Chicago next year in December, and unless it's a team like Aaron Rodgers or Minnesota that has experience, if I see a warm weather guy going to Chicago or another cold city like that, I'm not playing him. Jared Goff got you to the fantasy playoffs and then he choked. You lost. If you had Jared Goff last week, you probably lost unless you had Amari Cooper and T.Y. Hilton. You did. Now, same thing here with Russell Wilson in that game against the Vikings last night. He was putrid. I was playing Mike Dempsey in the SiriusXM Dynasty League, and I was up by 9 points. He had Russell Wilson and Everson Griffin, and I had Danielle Hunter. I won because Russell Wilson was that bad. Because I was listening to a commercial today on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, and Ray Flowers goes, "Don't look at matchups, play your studs." Now, I believe in playing your studs. I do. Ray's not wrong there. But I do believe in looking at matchups. You don't play Russell Wilson against the Vikings. Vikings are a good defense. I do look at matchups in the playoffs. And if you don't, you're going to lose. Now, I'm not saying I base all my moves on matchups, but I look at matchups. I want to know the matchups. If I don't know the matchups, I will be in trouble. Now, what I want to do is juxtapose the matchup with the player and say, okay, which makes more sense? Right? If the matchup is good and the player is I'll go with the matchup. If the matchup is good but the player is great, I'm going to go with the better player. I always want the better player. But yes, matchups do mean something. They do. All right. Time now to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. Remember, just a couple of weeks left in your fantasy football season. Let us get you to a fantasy football championship at scoutfantasysports.com. Reach out to us, put a question in the member forums. Let me, Roto, Sean Childs answer it for you, and hopefully you can be my rich friend and win your fantasy football league. All right, guys, this is Dr. Roto saying be well and take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!